Alright, hey guys, and welcome back to this part 3 of this little mini series, which is the spoiler review breakdown of Zack Snyder's Justice League. Now, we have already explored the journey of Batman's recruiting of certain characters, also the introduction of the new Justice League members, followed by the history lesson, which was brought forth by Diana after her discovery of these ancient ruins, and this chapter 3, is a lot more, how can you put it? It's an emotional chapter. I think that's the best way I can put it. And it's a good place. It's part 3 out of like the six main, or rather major parts. And if you guys are wondering, here are the parts. Let me just bring it up for you. These are all the different chapters. So it's like a nice way to kind of really pull you in to the emotional aspect of the story and really show you who these characters are, their struggles, and why we need to really have it all fully fledged, and why this film is long as it is. None of these characters are to be taken lightly. This is not a film where I just want to show you a bad guy being beaten up by superheroes. It's not that sort of a film. And so, because of that, I'm going to want to develop each individual character before I proceed. So, without further ado, let me pull up part 3. Beloved mother, beloved son. So at this point, usually you guys would want to flip away from this screen and just listen to my podcast. Anyway, part 3. So in beloved mother, beloved son, we get to see straight right away a shot of Central City. And for those of you who are DC fans, you probably know that Central City is the place where the Flash is, or rather, even if you're not a fan, if you know who the Flash is, you probably know where Central City is. So you try to see Ezra Miller's Flash. He's the Barry Allen Flash, and there are many different iterations of Flash. There's the main Flash, Kid Flash, the Guy Gardner Flash. There's so many different iterations of Flash, but we are using the Barry Allen Flash, which is like the most canon version of Flash, I believe, which is like the most common mainstream version of Flash. So this Barry Allen's Flash is like somewhere in Central City applying for a job, and he wants to walk dogs. And I think the most likely reason he wants to do that is because he feels he doesn't want to be tied down to one place, and he doesn't want to bear the burden of what do you call this? Looking for like a full-time job where it doesn't allow him to fully utilize his abilities of joining mass media and learning about his powers and doing whatever he can to try to save his father, who is now stuck in prison for the illegitimate murder of his mom. So if you all know about the story of the Flash, you all know his dad really did not kill his mother, and that somebody else from the Flash universe did. There are many iterations of it, but more than often it is Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash. So Flash is applying for a job. He wants to walk dogs. He bumps into Iris West. So in Zack Snyder's Justice League, Iris West is once again a person of color, which I'm fine with it. I respect it. Even in the TV series, I believe that was the case. But of course, original iterations, in the comics was not such. If I'm not mistaken, let me just look it up first before I make a fool out of myself again. No, not this one. I need the in the 50s was when Iris West was introduced, and as usual, most of these superheroes were not people of color early on. But whatever, I mean, who cares? All we care about right now is a good story, and that's the most important thing. So, Iris West is introduced, and shortly after Barry applies for a job, he has to hand in his resume, and then the person who's owning the dog walking, or rather the dog caretaking, or it's like a dog motel sorts, the dog motel shop. She's like, "You're overqualified. You have like a, like a criminal what do you call this, forensic science degree or something like that. So you're kind of overqualified for the job or something. And then Iris is heading towards her doom basically because this guy drops his burger in a truck and the truck is rushing towards her. Now, for those of you guys who have really, eagle-eyed viewers, you would have spotted certain Easter eggs hidden in this scene, and one of those are what do you call this? The hot dog stand, which I believe contains the text of Granny Goodness, and also the truck, the oncoming truck, which contains certain text of Guy Gardner, who was like the original interpretation of the Flash, the one that wears like this tinfoil hat. I'm not sure if you guys have seen it, but he wears like a flat aluminium kind of hat, and it looks really funny. But that was the original iteration, so it was nice that they tried to pull that up. What was it? Jay Garrick. Wait, let me see. Yeah, it was Gardner something. Yeah, but anyway, Guy Gardner was that Flash. So it was kind of nice to see that. And of course, the burger stand gets obliterated as the hot dog stand gets obliterated as the truck goes through it. And the next in line was Iris West's car, which kind of knocks into it, and Barry Allen taps into the Speed Force right away to go to her to say to her aid in this beautiful little emotional kind of what do you call this, speed force slow motion scene. And the scene was absolutely beautiful. The music was perfect. I felt that I don't know if it is just me, but I feel like when Zack Snyder was born, or rather when he celebrated his first birthday and everyone is just singing happy birthday to you, he was like, no, I want this version of happy birthday because it sounds better. And that's the way this song feels like, because he just picks the right songs for the right moments, and it's really beautiful. And this is a really cute little scene between the Flash and Iris where he saves her. It's sort of like a how can you put it, like when you see a girl for the first time and you really feel like you love her. And of course it's this very biological form of attraction. You just know that perhaps this would be the right person for you, even if you don't really know them. Just looking at their eyes and how kind they are in certain things they do, and how pretty they are, and you just assume that this might be the right person for you. You could be wrong, you could be right, but it's love at first sight, and ain't nobody gonna judge at that point. So he saves Iris and he's very careful to keep her down, which I feel was very important because this scene really showed how powerful he was as he bursts out of the dog motel, and he like just shatters the floor and the road as he walks, and his shoes explode because of how fast he moves. He can just poke through glass mirrors, and he is really powerful when he is in the Speed Force. So he's to be really careful about handling people, and I think that was clearly shown in this case. And this kind of tells you overall how powerful the Flash is in this film, but how he is limited. His powers are limited because of the minor details that he has to put in as he uses his powers. He can't just carry someone and move at lightning speed. He would destroy them. He will have to be careful at handling human bodies, but he is fine handling objects because he doesn't really care for the destruction of certain objects. So these are kind of things to note. The Speed Force only protects his body, so whatever he wears seems to be quite well protected for the most part, but he does have to wear really strong what do you call this? A suit of armor, basically. And you'll see that in the scene where Batman pops into his little place. So, shortly before we get to the Batman part, we actually see a scene that we had no idea of in the 2017 version, which was how Steppenwolf actually discovers Atlantis. And this is kind of interesting because it seems like Atlantis was way better hidden than Themyscira, and probably just unfortunate that Themyscira box kind of alerted Steppenwolf first. So that was like the main box that kind of called out to him, so he was able to locate Themyscira. But Atlantis was still hidden. And this was a really cool scene where you get to see the what do you call these? Um, Wait, what do you call them? Demons, parademons, actually drag out the Atlanteans to the surface, and Steppenwolf interrogates them, and you can see that they're really tough people. These Amazonians, sorry, these Atlanteans, they are not up for interrogation. But despite that, what Steppenwolf does is he uses an alien technology that kind of crawls up to their heads. It looks really creepy, but it crawls up and projects a hologram of their thoughts, and that way Steppenwolf is able to extract information. and right away he knows the location of the mother box. I felt that this technology was very reminiscent of Brainiac, because it really looks like it was able to just extract information directly out of their heads by projecting it. It felt very reminiscent of Brainiac's tech from the comics, and you guys can probably look it up somewhere. But yeah, I think I've seen similar technology, and you knowing Brainiac, he's all about extracting information, knowledge, and stuff like that. So I felt that was pretty cool. Then we see a really depressed Lois Lane, just having a burnt Superman cape left in like one of her chest, one of like her bags or luggage bags or something like that. And I felt that shot was just reminding us of, the situation, the gravity of the situation that's going on. Things are getting darker as we go deeper into this story. Shortly after that, we see Wonder Woman sitting down in Batman, and she's like discussing about Aquaman and Atlanteans and how she's worried about whether they should actually work with these Atlanteans. And she mentions about the history in the past, and she's like not very sure about him, and also the fact that Arthur Curry is unique because he was living on land way longer than any ordinary Atlantean can. And she mentions most likely he's a half breed, which is why he's able to do that. This is the reason why Arthur Curry is capable of living on land, because he's part human. Uh, but she's still not sure why, like, why he's so powerful and all that, but she doesn't really pinpoint that. She's just like, I don't think we can trust him. And I felt that was cool, but we also had a little Bruce and Diana moment where Diana tries to reach for the mouse. And this is so cliche, right? This thing happens to everyone in real life, where one person reaches for an object and the other person just touches their hand. And this little cliche moment we got to see between Bruce and Diana. I felt it was really cute. It was like just paying homage to the fact that these two have had a lot of romantic relationships in the comics, and even if they do or do not explore it here, it is just a really nice little thing that Zack threw in there, just to let us know that, hey, I can do it. I can do whatever I want, and make any two characters come together if I wanted to. So that's pretty cool. Then they're investigating on Barry Allen and Cyborg as well. They have like little footages, the one that you saw in BVS. So shortly after that, they decide to divide their work. Diana's like, I'll go after Cyborg, you go after the Flash, and they both agree on it, and they split up. So here is when we actually get to see, the football game scene of Victor Stone in like this snowy football match. It looks absolutely gorgeous. Zack Snyder slow motion. Really, like really beautiful emotional scene of how Victor Stone's mother is really attached to him. His mom even defends him, and they're showing that Cyborg is not just a physically talented football player. He's also a brilliant guy who's able to hack into their, I believe it's school or college. I didn't quite catch that. But he hacked into their system. I mean, I'm just going to guess that it's college. I could be wrong, but he hacks into the system in order to, or university. Yeah, right. It's Gotham University. So he hacks into the system in college, and he helps to change his friend's grades because his friend like had like you know uh, some death in the family apparently, and he did it because he knows that she's not going to able to pass her grades, whereas the university has strict rules against that. They don't really purposely postpone your courses alone just because someone there's a death in your family. They're just going to go ahead and have the exams, and you still are going to have to pay for the deferral. I do believe that in some cases the university will make exceptions, but I'm not sure what the case was here. Maybe this was one of those universities that just doesn't care. So Victor did this little hack to try to help them, and they were not really happy about it, but his mom defends him. So I felt that this was really an interpretation of just a person trying to do good in Gotham. This is Gotham City, and Victor is one of them. Really talented people who just tries to do good, gets reprimanded from it by his college, professor or lecturer or whatever, but his mom defends him. And then after the football game, you see that his mom was there celebrating for him. You see that shot in the trailer, but his dad is unavailable, and Victor's not happy about it. Obviously, his dad is Silas Stone, head of Star Lab, so he's just super busy working. And I kind of like that plot. It is interesting. If I'm not mistaken, the head of Star Labs has kind of changed over the years. because I don't think the head of Star Labs was originally, or was it originally Silas? I believe there could be different interpretations of it. Star Labs aliases. There has to be someone here. Let's just look for head. Main. Hmm. All right, I could be wrong. I have to look it up, but I think that there was another person who was initially the head of Star Labs and then later changed to be Silas. But once again, I could be wrong. So anyway, Silas Stone is the head of startups in this film. So shortly after, the scene of that entire football story and whatever, as Victor is leaving home with his mom, they're discussing about the dad not able to make it because he's super busy. They end up in a car crash. Super tragic. The mom dies. Victor loses half of his entire lower half of his body, and his left arm, his left eye, and it looks absolutely horrible. And then we right away cut to a scene of Victor and his dad just having some banter because Victor is upset over his mom not being alive because his dad just wasn't there. And while this is quite typical of a person blaming, uh, just because they're in pain, you can really see Victor's pain in this story. He's really in pain of losing his mom and blames his dad and has no idea what he has turned into, because his dad wanted to keep him alive, but he just doesn't want to be alive in this state that he's in. So Victor's dad says, "Okay, fine. If you don't want to talk to me, I'm gonna leave this recording for you, and you can listen to it." And I felt that that was interesting. It's one way that Silas was able to still be the scientist who cares for him rather than the father who cares for him. And so Silas has done a lot of research apparently on Cyborg, and he leaves this recording that tells, like, kind of narrates to Cyborg his capabilities. And Cyborg does spend that time exploring his abilities, and he truly is a digital god. He's able to control nukes. He's able to control monetary or like code and data around the world. He's able to manipulate anything that is digital, which makes him truly a master in this modern age, especially. Which is why I felt that Zack Snyder really gave weight to this character, because now more so than ever we are really digitalizing to a point of questioning whether we are allowed to be microchipped, whether we want to have implants, whether we want to go into more augmented reality technologies in our glasses, in our contact lenses. And everyone's on their phones. If you think about it, everyone is on their phones, and not having your phone today equals to, oh my god, he's probably dead, like like back in the 90s and the 80s. If you didn't have a phone, nobody cared. They just call your house. If there's no answer, oh, he's probably out, or he's probably away, or something like that. And if you go to work, like if you lived in the city and you worked in the city, everyone has to wait for you to make the phone call from a payphone. People were fine not talking to you for like days. And you'd call once a week from a payphone, and you'd have like really long conversations, and it costs you because you gotta keep chipping that coin in. But today everyone's on their cell phones, and the communication never ends. The what do you call this, the speed of technology has vastly improved, communications has improved. And Cyborg, I feel like, was the perfect character to put weight on because of this. And Samuel learns to fly. He learns to use his powers. He helps this woman, this poor woman he sees in the city. He like increases her bank balance and helps her after just spending some time going through her individual story. And I think this was just a depiction of Cyborg just exploring people's lives in the city, not fully using his powers to help everyone at once, but just testing his powers. It's sort of like you when you find out that you can probably like lift up a tank. You wouldn't just go out there and lift a tank. You'd probably want to be a little bit safe. Just try to help one person, just to stay a little covert while you can test your powers. And I felt that was really nice. That's a really good touch to a superhero. So shortly after, Sabok is done testing his powers, his dad's recording changes to, now I'm going to talk to you as a father, and he just crushes that in his hand. He just crushes the recording left for him in his hand. And I felt, I was like, yep, that's precisely what he was going to do. Shortly after that, a parademon actually drops by to his balcony, and this was really creepy. You can see the tension when the parademon drops, because the parademon does catch the scent of the mother box that is in Victor's house. Victor's hand, of course, turns into a plasma cannon, and unfortunately he doesn't need to use it. I mean, thankfully he doesn't need to use it because the parademon flies away, sensing that the box is there, but it's probably going to be a little tricky to get to it. Or it may even sense the scent of Cyborg, but I'm not sure about that. But it flew away because it knew that it didn't want to engage. So that was Cyborg's story, and right after Cyborg's story, we cut back to Flash's story. So now it's the more serious part of Flash's story, which is his dad who is in prison for the what do you call this, wrongly convicted murder of his mother. And Barry is trying to get a simple job, and his dad is like, no, I don't want you to do that. Why are you working for a criminal justice degree? I want you to be the best of the best. So right, it's not forensic scientist, it's criminal justice. But why I mention forensic scientist is because, if I'm not mistaken, Barry Allen in the comics was a forensics, or rather a um, yeah, some sort of a forensic scientist, because that's why he works in a lab where there's all these chemicals when he gets struck by lightning, and that's how he gets his powers. In this film, however, we are not really told how he gets his powers. Now that I think about it, yeah, that's actually kind of true. Hmm. Anyway, his dad tells him, I want you to give up the criminal justice major, and I want you to stop coming to see me and all that. I just want you to be the best that you are, be the best of the best. You're living in the past, make your own future. This is like the main line that he tells Barry. He tells him, you're living in the past, make your own future. Don't get a job and study just to try to help me and save me. Just be the best that you can be and truly expand your capabilities, because the criminal justice major is not going to get you far, because as you can see, this law, this whole law enforcement and everything like that is just not doing the right thing. They're getting the wrong things done. So don't get caught up in this. I think that's what his dad is trying to put out to him. But the line, you're living in the past, make your own future, actually carries so much weight that I had no idea when I first heard it. I was like, okay, fine, it's just giving him something, like, something to take note of. But man, in the end, that line means so much more. And we'll get to that in a later part. So shortly after he visits his dad, he heads to his, what do you call this? It's like his little shack where he lives. And I believe it's some sort of like an abandoned warehouse or something, which he just manages to take over as his little place. It's next to like this railway station, and or rather railway track, in like some sort of like really ghetto back alley. And I felt that was pretty cool. Flash needs like a real covert place to operate, and he walks in and he sees, I mean, obviously we all know this, he sees Bruce Wayne. And I felt that there's a lot more going on in the background of this scene. You can notice that, first of all, Flash is looking at multiple monitors. This tells you that he's learning things really, really fast. And since he's still young, this tells you that Flash probably has the most potential out of all the other superheroes, because he's able to clearly learn things a lot faster than everyone else. His Speed Force allows him to do things that's really reality breaking, right? He would probably be able to learn fighting way faster than Diana, be more intelligent than Bruce. He may not be a digital god, but he doesn't need to, because he'll be able to stop crime a lot faster than Cyborg, and his technology can. But physically, he'll be so much more capable than even Superman if he learns how to master his powers. But all of this is limited by the fact that when he's not tapping into the Speed Force, which he can't be, throughout, because it takes a lot out of him. But when he's not tapping into Speed Force, he is vulnerable, and that's the risk that Barry has to face. So Bruce Wayne comes and recruits him in a matter of seconds, and you can see, Flash has kind of made this makeshift suit for himself, which Bruce identifies as is kind of quartz, silicon quartz or something that is used by space shuttles during re-entry. So really tells you that Flash's body really burns up when he's going through the Speed Force, and thus he has developed that suit. And I do believe that suit is not indestructible, but it is sufficient for him to keep himself cool as he slows down, because his body is not harmed when he's in the Speed Force. It's just whatever is on top of him. So I guess it's just something that doesn't just blow up when he speeds up. So that's pretty cool. And you can see that there's some little comedy going on between these two. Flash has a lot of quips, and Batman also has his own. He says, Flash is like, "What's your superpowers?" And he says, "I'm rich." I felt shortly after this, Flash's introduction really shows you that he is the funny guy in this film. And I don't hate that, because a lot of the jokes in this film really does land. You can see there's a lot of gallows humor, but there's not a lot of comedy during the fight itself, because the battles are serious. And one of the simplest example I can give you is Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy, despite the way they showed like a serious prison-like film, it is actually a comedy film, because it turns out with the dance battle with the final villain. But I really like it because the entire film stayed true to that tone. It is a comedy film about the superheroes just coming together to fight off this guy in a dance battle. So that's the comedy film. This film, however, it has comedy, it has quips, but it's not a comedy film like what Josh Whedon was trying to do it. It was instead just a film with humor in it, and I felt that it was perfectly done this time. So we see Diana shortly after that trying to make some tea, and we see Alfred, the professional butler, advising her exactly how to make the tea. And he's working on this gauntlet, and I felt that this scene was so nice. It is a little bit of comedy, but it's not overblown. It's basically Alfred designing gauntlets under the instruction of Bruce Wayne, and he believes that the gauntlet is the Batman's idea. The gauntlet can absorb and dissipate energy, and Diana realizes that it's actually, like Bruce got the idea from observing how she actually dropped in BVS to save him. And the only reason Bruce is alive is because of Diana's gauntlets, right? Diana's gauntlets were able to absorb and dissipate energy. And you can see in this film, as a result of that, Bruce is developing his own gauntlets that can absorb and dissipate energy, because he doesn't want to get caught up in the same situation. But he doesn't tell Alfred that he got this from the Wonder Woman. He just tells him that this was my idea, and Wonder Woman is like, "Oh, right, right. You should probably prepare a lasso for him too." And Alfred's like, "Oh, okay." But I felt that this was super funny, super cool. This is a good scene. This is really. It's not like the characters are just laughing and joking, right? We get the joke, so we are laughing, but the situation is just these two people, just working on some technology. And I felt the way these jokes are designed are just genius, right? So right after that, the what do you call this? Batcave's technology gets like hacked into. Diana gets what do you call this? An alert to tell her to meet Victor Stone. So she goes to looks for the cyborg. Cyborg comes in, and there's a beautiful shot of Cyborg landing, which we didn't get in the earlier version. The way the water moves, the way the ripples are created, I felt it was really impressive. This CGI shot of him just flying in like a jet and just landing, all in a single shot. It's really cool. The CGI in this scene was perfect. To be honest, there were scenes where the CGI looked a little bit wonky, so I had to cut half a point. I initially wanted to cut 1 point, but I felt that it was not justified, because upon a second viewing, a lot of the CGI in this film was really, really impressive. And yeah, so there are wonky moments, but man, you can brush it off, because the overall CGI in the film and the overall story in the film was just too good. So yeah. Shortly after that, for some reason, Victor takes the mother box to him and his mom's grave and buries it there in the grave. I believe he just wants to protect the mother box, because after meeting Diana, he realizes more seriously that there is enemies coming. I mean, there are enemies coming, and he has to take the situation more seriously. But he doesn't want to join Diana, so he leaves, right? And then after that, we get to a shot of Ryan Choi, who is potentially the Atom, right? Potentially. And we do get a little teaser of that, saying that he's the head of nanotechnology or something towards the end. But anyway, we see Ryan Choi working with Silas Stone here, trying to superheat a metal from the Superman ship. And at first, you're like, okay, what's the whole point of this, right? So I realized that there has to be even eventual reason for all of this, and so much so there will be an eventual reason. But it's pretty cool, a little scene of them working together, showing that Ryan is the next upcoming like student of Silas, who will probably take over Star Labs, and unfortunately, that turns out to be true because Silas will die, and you get to see that a shot of that in the trailer, I believe. But yeah, that happens. So there's a little comedy as well. There's a joke by Ryan Choi that says that it's becomes the hottest thing on earth, as what I told to my prom date or something, but she dumped me anyway. And I felt that joke was really cute because the way Silas reacts is like, yeah, yeah, whatever. It tells you the seriousness. But I like this little moment where Ryan's questioning is the mother box. Think they call it 61 something. It's like an object 61982 or something like that. So he asks if the object is connected to, what do you call this, the Batman. And I found that question really interesting. But he what do you call this, uses that as, what do you call this, a connection, and tries to figure out what exactly is the objective of the missing object, right? Why is there a mother box missing, and why are people looking for it? So anyway, there's also a little bit of Easter eggs, right? In the reference of the number, and that's because 61982, 619 is June 19, uh, s- 1982. And this is like the Teen Titans, one of the Teen Titans comics, I believe, where the cyborg was introduced as like a core member of the Justice League, and that number was what is used to label the object. And there's so many references like this in the film that I can't get into it in this particular breakdown, but I may have to make an Easter eggs breakdown, as do so many other amazing channels out there. So if you guys want an early view of the Easter eggs, probably you should check out some other channels because they're awesome and they've already done their research. But I'm still going through the breakdown, so bear with me, yeah? So right after that little discussion between Ryan and Silas, Silas walks back home to find the broken recording that he left for Victor. Victor's not there, and he gets assaulted by a parademon that kidnaps him, looking for the mother box. Right after that, we get a shot of the new Commissioner Gordon, played by, what's his name? It's the guy who plays. It's the guy who plays. Damn it! It's in the Spider-Man film, right? Um, Justice League. What's his name? Commissioner Gordon. And he's played by J.K. Simmons, and J.K. Simmons plays. Um, oh come on! Don't tell me I forgot the name of J. Jonah Jameson, right? Oh god, J. Jonah Jameson, right? So J.K. Simmons, and I'm starting to like J.K. Simmons as a, how can you put it, as like a character just introduced, but I don't know enough about him, so I'm gonna have to give him a chance because he didn't get much of a role besides just being that guy who's there to support these wrong convictions against Batman. Because the drawing of the parademons that are brought up apparently look like Batman. So, Jim Gordon is like, I'll talk to him. Don't worry, I'll investigate about this. And we cut to a shot of all the scientists who are now kidnapped by Steppenwolf, kept together, and we cut back to a shot of Barry joining Diana and Bruce, and it's just like a recruitment scene that's been completed. So they tried to get Aquaman, they couldn't. They tried to get Cyborg, they couldn't. They got one out of the three, and they're gonna have to work with it. Right after that, we get to the shot of Atlantis, and this is where you really explore the lore in Atlantis. And what I mean by that is, of course, you see a lot of Atlanteans, the duty to guard the mother boxes and all of that, but you see Mera, played by Amber Heard. Unfortunately, I know the controversy around Amber Heard, and I mean, whatever, right? That happened. It's not like I support or like Amber Heard or whatever, but I'm talking about the character Mira purely. And if I like the character Mira, don't translate it as I like Amber Heard. Okay, it's not the way I'm going to put it. Unless I say the acting was good, which to be fair, I think was decent. Amber Heard is a decent actress. There's no harm in saying that. So we see Mira communicating to these Atlanteans, and she's talking like how dolphins would talk. You know, she uses screeches and clicks, and I felt that was really interesting because we didn't get to see this in James Wan's Aquaman, and I think that's understandable because James Wan's Aquaman is a movie that takes place mostly underwater in Atlantis, and if they were to create water bubbles whenever they speak English, there would be a lot of water bubbles. However, in this film, you see Mira, Falco being the only two people who create water bubbles in order to communicate with people in English, but for the most part, Atlanteans use the screeches and clicks. And I felt that was just a really nice touch because obviously they can't be talking in English underwater. It just doesn't make sense. So anyway, Steppenwolf attacks, manages to defeat Mera as well as Aquaman and get the Mother Box. But I felt the fight between Mera and Steppenwolf was pretty intense, pretty interesting, as Mera was trying to suck out the water from Steppenwolf's face. And you can see like she does it so well to a point blood starts coming out of Steppenwolf, but he's just too strong, so he just knocks her out. But you can see that Mera was the only person who was able to actually so far stand up to Steppenwolf in terms of all the fights that he has gone through so far, showing you that Mera is just this league material. She's quite powerful, but Arthur Curry comes into to her rescue because Steppenwolf nearly kills her, and Steppenwolf wins the fight anyway, gets the mother box. Unfortunate, but now Mera has a conversation with Aquaman to send him out to try to uh, do the right thing, to get back that mother box and protect what he can. And Arthur Curry realizes the gravity of the situation, doesn't say anything, but leaves anyway. So yeah, that I felt the tone they gave Aquaman was not bad. He's like the guy who it's not that he doesn't care, he just doesn't like to show that he cares. And I felt that there's a lot of people out there that way. They're nice people, and it's not that they don't care; they just don't show it, I guess. And it's kind of like a tough love, uh, way of putting it. Excuse me, had to get a sip of my drink. Shortly after that, you see Victor Stone observing the bat signal, and that's how he knows that the Batman is being called, and that's most likely where they're going to have a conversation, and that's how he's going to track towards the Batman. We get another cut to Steppenwolf, putting in the second mother box, and informs what do you call this Desart that he's ever closer to ending his conquest. Desart is like, fine, just get it done, and we'll talk about the terms for you to actually proceed with paying back Darkseid because you owe him 50,000 worlds, and just get this done first, and then we'll think about it. So we really see a lot in part 3, right? We see a lot of beautiful character arcs, a lot of development of characters, not no big fight scenes in the entirety of part 3, but that doesn't mean part 3 was not good. Part 3 was really important. It had a lot of cutscenes, and there was a fight scene which was basically in Atlantis, right? But it's not such a big fight. It's a short fight because the defenses of Atlantis were not as good as the Amazons. It was mostly Mera and what's his name, Aquaman, doing most of the fighting, whereas the rest of the Atlanteans just didn't stand a chance against the onslaught. So most of them were not ready for the defense, and it is explained why they're not ready. It is because the king of Atlantis, the current king of Atlantis, which we can assume that it is Orm, is actually using the gods for his own purpose, and Mira is upset about it. She's like, "No, we need to increase our mother box defenses." But most of the Atlanteans, they don't really care because the mother box hasn't woken in thousands of years, so they feel like, why bother about the mother box? It's never going to wake up. We rather do other things, and that is why Atlantis couldn't put up a fight. But I believe if Atlantis had enough people guarding the mother box, it would have been close to the Themyscirian fight that we got. Regardless, it was cool that we got to see Mera put up a fight by herself, and Arthur Curry as well. And I probably, if they two combined and came together initially and with the right Atlantean defenses, they could have possibly stopped Steppenwolf. I think it would have been really possible. But the Atlanteans were not prepared, so he got the second mother box. But I felt the most important things about part 3 was Cyborg's story, Flash's backstory, even Aquaman's lore. And Aquaman's lore wasn't given too much of a backstory because we know that the Aquaman film was being made. And that's probably the reason why Zack didn't want to go too deep into it. But he knew that Cyborg may not get a standalone film. And so, as same goes for Flash, because Flash is going to get his own film, but it was more of like the film of a developed Flash. So, this was the best film to kind of create more so of a backstory, which is also why Cyborg has the biggest backstory because there's no Cyborg movie planned. And I felt for that reason, it was really nice of Zack Snyder to make Cyborg, have a better backstory, deeper backstory, and really be the heart of the film as well because of the era that we live in, the digital age, the modern age. And I felt that this part 3 will be appreciated from time to come as, in years to come, in fact, because of the way that it is taken and developed the cyborg character. People may come back to this someday, and I really hope that we do get to see more of it in upcoming films. So that's it from me for part 3. After this, we'll be looking at part 4 in the next episode. But I would like to tell you guys, do let me know your thoughts and your experiences watching this particular part 3 and all the other Easter eggs that you found as well. I will be making a separate video, as I said, of all the individual Easter eggs, but I don't want to milk this film too much. So if I feel satisfied after watching, I mean, after making 7 parts out for you guys, I might just call it a day and just move on to other films. The reason for that is because there are so many other channels out there that are way better at detecting Easter eggs than I am, and I feel that I want to respect their content, and so I don't want to do things just because I can, right? I want to do things because I enjoy it, and that's more so the way I look at it. So that's it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, guys. Adios.